The moon is shining brightly, and the surface of the calm water is gradually covered by thick fog. Suddenly, the eerie silence is shattered by the creaking of wooden planks. Through the mist, you can make out the outlines of an old ship, emanating an eerie chill from its rusty hull. But what's even more terrifying is that there is no one on the deck. The ship is sailing on its own. This is not the mythical Flying Dutchman, but a very real ghost ship. On September 2, 2019, the British Royal Navy icebreaker named Ness Protector is sailing on the tranquil waters of the Atlantic Ocean. It's 11 o'clock in the evening, and some crew members are wandering on deck while others are sleeping in their cabins. The captain steers the ship and gazes intently at the horizon, which is illuminated by orange twilight, with distant clouds drifting by. Suddenly, against the backdrop of this picturesque scene, one of the sailors spots the dark silhouette of an unknown ship. The captain slows down and directs the ship closer to this mysterious vessel. Before the crew stands an old cargo ship measuring 75 meters in length. Attempts to contact the crew members lead to no avail, and it becomes clear that the ship is sailing on its own. There is not a soul on board, at least not a living one. The ship's deck creaks as the sun sets behind the horizon, casting darkness over the vessel. The ship looks intimidating, and the sailors dare not board it. They take photographs of the mysterious ship, upload the photos to the internet, and sail away. Many internet users come to the conclusion that the sailors have discovered a genuine ghost ship. 5 months pass, and we shift the scene to the village of Ballacattan in County Cork, Ireland. Early one morning, a local resident steps out of his house for a run. With music in his headphones, the fresh air and picturesque landscape create perfect conditions for his workout. The runner heads along the road that runs alongside the Celtic Sea. There had been a strong storm, but now the sea is calmed. As he runs along the crest of a low cliff, the man notices something massive among the rocks on the shore. An old rusty cargo ship measuring 75 meters in length. There is no one nearby. It appears as though the ship has been here for an eternity. However, local residents are certain that it was not here just yesterday. It later becomes clear that this is the same ship that sailors spotted 1,000 kilometers away 5 months ago. The cargo ship, known as the Alta, was built in 1976. Nobody knows who had been using it and for what purposes during all this time. What is known is that in 2017, the ship acquired a new owner who adorned it with the flag of Tanzania. It's worth noting that almost all cargo ships are equipped with an automatic identification system that helps track their movements in the ocean. Since 2015, something strange began to happen with the Alto and its eyes system. The ship would disappear from satellites and then reappear. Over the past few years, the ship changed names and flags several times. It's not surprising that the identification system was disabled multiple times. It is said that it is sometimes intentionally turned off to conceal illegal activities. The captain of the ship clearly didn't want to reveal its direction. In 2017, the ship sailed near Greece, making 12 stops in 3 different port cities across the country before the eye signal vanished. 10 months later, the Alta reappeared, but this time off the North African coast, 2,000 kilometers from Greece. In September 2018, the ship was approximately 2,200 kilometers southeast of the Bermuda Islands. It was then that the crew of the Alta, consisting of 10 people, encountered problems. On September 19, 2018, the ship's engine failed in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. The ship was far from shore and began to drift. Days went by, but the crew couldn't repair the engine, and their food supplies were running low. The team began to panic and made desperate attempts to contact land. The situation was exacerbated by the fact that a hurricane was rapidly approaching the ship. Finally, within a day, a young South Korean couple, who had been cut off from the exit, was rescued. On the second day, a man with a leg injury was found waiting for help in a partially flooded restaurant. Interestingly, one of the passengers on the cruise was the granddaughter of a Titanic survivor, and both she and her grandmother managed to escape. However, not everyone was as fortunate, as 32 people lost their lives on the Costa Concordia. Since there were still many valuable items on the ship, some divers and looters stole watches, jewelry, paintings, and more. Some of them were caught red-handed. Approximately 2 weeks later, the search operation was concluded. Questions arose about who was to blame and what to do with the partially submerged ship. 6 people were found responsible for the crash, with 5 of them receiving suspended sentences. The main defendant was Captain Francesco Schettino, aged 52, who, according to the investigation, had actions that led to the death of 32 people, the loss of the ship, and environmental damage. The captain's escape on a lifeboat before the completion of the overall evacuation only exacerbated his sentence. In the end, Francesco Schettino received a 16-year prison sentence, and he never admitted his guilt, instead blaming the helmsman for executing commands with delay or even confusing them. During the course of the case, interesting details about the fateful evening emerge. It turned out that at the moment of the collision, there were outsiders on the captain's bridge at Schettino's invitation, including his secret lover, Dominica Churton. Therefore, the main reasons for the crash were cited as deviations from a safe course, a language barrier between the captain and the helmsman, and the presence of outsiders on the bridge. The Italian press portrayed Francesco Schettino as the most despised person in the country, calling him a cowardly captain. Immediately after the crash, booms were placed around the Concordia to prevent a major oil spill, and soon, fuel was successfully pumped out of the tanks. Preparations began for the unprecedented project of raising the ship, which took more than 2 years to complete. In 2014, after 3 years of effort, the Costa Concordia was successfully refloated and towed to a port using steel cables and special water-filled containers suspended along its sides. In 2017, the ship was finally dismantled, and the total cost of these operations exceeded €1 billion. Additionally, the ship's owning company compensated passengers with around €11,000 each. Some estimates suggest that the overall damage caused by the shipwreck was 3 times higher than the cost of the ship itself. Interestingly, the loss of the insured liner did not significantly impact the ship-owning company's business, as Costa Cruises quickly recovered and resumed profitability. A piece of the underwater rock that became lodged in the ship's hull was turned into a memorial, with a plaque attached to it, and placed in the sea near the crash site. The residents of the island of Giglio, who had sheltered the survivors, were awarded a state honor in the form of a golden medal for civil merit.
The ship is on fire! You destroyed an enemy cruiser. Problem solved, sir. Torpedoes to port. Torpedoes, direct front.
Enemy cruiser foundered.